What is up, everybody? My name is Christoph. Alongside me is
Brianna.
Here on ExtraNormal Podcast, where we tell abnormal stories for these extra normal times. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm okay.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm just okay. I've been in a fucking weird mood the last week. I can't handle it.
But it's February 1st. It's Valentine's Day season.
It is. Love is in the air. But I've just been out of
We don't
sorts.
celebrate Valentine's Day, by the way.
We don't do that. That's not something we do. But
Love is always in the air for us.
it's always Valentine's. You say Halloween is every day.
Every day
I think
is
what you mean is
Valentine's
every day is
Day.
Valentine's Day.
And
Here we are.
Halloween.
And Halloween. And Christmas.
That'd be a good
And New
mashup.
Year's. What?
Halloween and Valentine's.
What would that even look like besides exposed
Be my
hearts?
bloody Valentine.
Isn't the whole, is it maybe we should do an episode next week, but isn't the whole, Valentine's Day, based on Saint Valentine?
And
Who was,
he's actually like a demon.
Massacred or something like that? I don't fucking know. Right? Isn't that the thing?
I heard he's actually evil.
Is that what you heard? I don't know. Are you sure you just watch some horror movie?
No, it was some
Violent Night? The creepy Santa
big
Claus movie?
time. Gosh, I haven't seen his post in forever. He probably got banned.
Wait, Saint Valentine?
No.
He's still posting?
Yeah. No, some guy that I followed, he was all into super conspiracies, deeper than us. And next level shit. And he was saying that it was some demonic meaning behind it. And
Sure. Of course.
we should definitely do an episode.
We should do it. Do you think if monsters truly existed, like the Mummy and Dracula, who do you think would be most likely to be on social media? Actively on social media?
Probably Dracula.
You think Dracula would be on there? Only night posts, of course. Or
Because-
inside day
Yeah,
posts.
because he can, manipulate people.
Does Dracula need to sleep? Have we ever investigated that? Because he's always around at night. He can't go outside during the day, obviously. I know my
He
stuff.
sleeps during the day. He's nocturnal.
But does he have to? Is he just getting it?
Well, he has to because he was given the power of
But if you're eternal, do you
being
need to sleep still?
immortal.
Can we? Is there any eternal people out there? Do you still need to sleep? If you're eternal, why do you need eternal? Why do you need to sleep still? Can't you just eliminate sleep then at that point? Because you're not
Nocturnal
going to
Wonderland?
die. There's no if you don't get enough sleep, you're not going to die. So what's the point, guys? Dracula, what's the point?
Good point.
Thank you. We should just make a 24-hour Dracula where we should make a Dracula movie where he's just sitting in the house all day long because he's bored because he can't go out but he can't sleep, so he's just binging on Netflix shows.
You mean sitting in his coffin?
And he's been watching.
His giant coffin?
He's so over it because he's basically been during the day. He's been on house arrest for the last 400 years, so it's a miserable life. Would you ever? I don't know if I've ever asked you. Would you want to be eternal?
If it didn't mean I would have to sell my soul to the devil.
Didn't have to sell your soul to the devil.
Well, I guess technically, as a Christian, if I make it to the gates, that is
Eternal salvation, isn't that what they say?
yeah, and we'll get once Jesus comes back and fights the devil. We'll be living on earth again, but it'll be not.
Wait,
this.
hold on, wait.
You
Is
didn't
that
know
the theory of Revelations?
Yeah.
Heaven, it becomes
We come
literally
back
heaven
to
on earth?
we come back to earth.
What?
He takes over his.
I gotta look that up.
his earth
That
again.
seems
Yes,
that seems off.
but it's different.
Because don't they demolish Earth? Isn't Earth basically pummeled by the end of Revelations? They're just raining down fire, and does he just rebuild
But then
a perfect garden?
he makes it all in
He hires a
harmony
landscaper.
again. Yeah,
St. Michael's
we live
landscaper.
with probably all of us. But yeah, he makes it worth living here again.
Let me ask you this. In your theories, in your grand theology, I know you went to theology school for 7 years.
Yes.
Yes. But do you think that if you are not left behind, as they say, right? Isn't that the code name for being a dirty, dirty sinner? If you're taken, right, and you're given salvation, eternal salvation, right before Revelations, I guess this is also a general question for heaven. Are your memories wiped? Do you remember the craziness, or do you have, or also too, for that matter, do you have any exposure to know what happens, to see in real time what happens? Are you shielded from that?
We aren't meant to know.
Are there
that.
bad memories in heaven?
We're not meant to know that. What we do know is that I believe that our loved ones still can come and visit, but
Only if.
as far as like you remember recollection of like how you died and everything else, no. And they say like
So you're
when you
washed of
go to
memories of that.
heaven, when you go to heaven, it's not like you're in sorrow because you're leaving. Like if I was to die, I wouldn't be like
You're in Sorrow is my favorite black metal band.
I wouldn't be in I wouldn't be in sorrow like, oh, my husband and my daughter and my rest of my family are left behind.
Yep.
It's like you're in this euphoria place where you know I will see you again.
So there's
So
like a
it's like, don't worry, be happy because you're on a fucking Caribbean island all day, all night.
Not like Dracula, you can't be there during the day. Do you? So it's like a sanitized memory. So you remember like for instance, like
We don't really know. This is all hypothesis.
sure, I'm saying in your beliefs, right? Because you have a belief system. I'm not saying like answer for every like. I watched, by the way. I watched some of the Way Down on HBO. That shit was nuts. You watched some of it. You saw that thing?
What was that?
Speaking of religions, there was that church where the pastor was in Tennessee, and her whole thing was like, basically, if you're overweight, you ain't going to heaven. Like you like being like heavier is a sin. Like it was wild. Like watch, it's on HBO. Way Down.
But I
She
mean,
was wild.
like, gluttony is a sin.
It
But-
is.
But here's the thing: if you are a Christian and you genuinely like repent for your sins,
Yeah.
just like if you were to kill somebody and you were so mad at yourself for doing that, and you truly, because only you and God know the truth,
Sure.
and how your heart is very genuine. You and God are the only ones that know that. So if you were genuinely trying not to be overweight, but it's really hard for you,
Yeah.
like God will forgive you.
So I
you
guess
ask
it
him
is
to.
technically. I mean, listen.
Just
This
like
is not something
look at the
partake in
like
fucking-
prostitutes and stuff like that. I mean, God made one of them his disciples. Like, so I for sure, like, why not? Like, my God is a forgiving God. The stuff in the Bible, I think, has been so twisted over the years and manipulated by men. No offense. That it's this way that they want us to believe and fear, and it contradicts all the good things that are of God. So it's
Well, yeah.
hard for me to like read some of the scripture and be like, wait, what the fuck? You know? So
I don't know. I think that for the weight thing, I don't think I think God would measure in good deeds, not in how much poundage you come in with.
Yeah.
Like that's insane to think that that's any measure of the gates. I guess if you're gluttonous and you don't like you are
there's
eating,
different forms of gluttony.
but for like the people who are starving, I guess that could kind of sort of be mangled into a thing.
Well,
but
it's and gluttony is not just being obese. It's buying too many purses. It's
oh yeah,
buying
for sure.
too many video games. It's,
Hey, how
as
dare
we're
you?
in-
Go fuck yourself.
as we're in a room
Go
filled-
fuck yourself.
It's
We're
you
gonna
know,
have a different angle on that side of the. I'm very proud of.
You should have them all lit up.
I should. And we're gonna do an episode with the arcade machines. I'm like into like I'm of the age.
We're like in an arcade.
We're basically in an arcade. I'm of the age where
And it's
like
sad that you guys don't get to see it.
we'll record in front of the machines, but this is a different thing. Whatever.
But yeah, so I think there's different forms of gluttony. But those were questions that I asked as a child, like, but because you think of God or you think of heaven as such a great place, and then if you leave family behind you, you're sad though, and so maybe
would
that's why maybe there's those veils of when you get to go and visit your family and come back to Earth.
Are you saying that ghosts are like
Dias de los Muertos.
vacationers from like heaven?
Well, they say
Some of them.
around Dias de los Muertos, like in like Catholicism, it's All Saints Day, Halloween,
Sure.
Day of the Dead.
Sure.
So it's like that whole like week is like this harvest where it's supposed to be like where the veil is very thin between
Yeah.
life and death. so they are allowed to come over and visit their relatives.
Yeah, and that's the thing. There's multiple like cultures, religions where there's a belief that there's certain times of the year
this
where
goes back with the Aztecs. It goes back like 2,000
goes
years
back
ago.
to the Aztecs. We had a episode of pagan Christmases, and that is filled with spirits coming back because the world is like the world between the living and the dead is thin, right? The wall between them, I should say. Yeah, so I don't know. But speaking gluttony, would you? I gotta ask you a question. Would you eat meat that rained from the sky?
I don't understand.
You don't understand. Because
Birds? You're talking about birds?
I'm not talking about. Well, maybe I'm talking about birds. Have you ever heard of the? I just wanted to segue.
If
It's
the
a
bird
terrible
didn't have
segue.
flu. No bird flu, please.
Have you heard of the Kentucky meat shower?
No, I don't know if I want to.
Do you want to? Okay, well it's been a great episode, everybody. Thanks for listening. No, the Kentucky meat shower. Kentucky is a state in the U.S. I don't know. If
I don't know why, but it sounds like something that should be perverted.
The Kentucky meat shower. I did a Kentucky meat shower in college.
It sounds like there's like 20 guys over one girl beating her face with their wieners.
Well, Mrs. Crouch was on the porch.
And peeing while they're doing it. Maybe coming. One or the other.
It's probably coming, right?
Ugh.
Oh no,
That's
golden
a
shower.
different name. I'm like, no, there's a name for that.
Yeah, no, it would be pissing. Yeah, because shower, golden shower. Yeah,
Anyways,
you're right.
Go right ahead.
I mean, there would probably be a
Get that visual out of my head. Let's go to the
bukkake at the
This is
end.
real.
So the Kentucky meat shower happened in 1876 in Bath County. I think Olympia Springs is the exact town that it happened in Kentucky. But this was again in 1876. Mrs. Crouch, a local Olympia Springian, Olympia Springs woman.
Crouch,
Mrs. Crouch was sitting on the porch and she was making soap. And back in that day, you made soap, right?
you drew him soap.
You did it Fight Club style. If anybody's seen that movie.
We don't know that life.
You take animal fat and you make that soap out of animal fat. Like those days are done, thank God. But she was sitting on the porch, just minding her own business, making her own soap as you do back then. And she heard splats, right? And so she's like, what the hell's going on? She looked up and she saw literally meat raining from the sky on her field, right? And so she obviously was the only one there.
Question.
Sure.
Was it like a cloud over her head?
No clouds to be seen. It was a sunshiny day.
Sky.
Clear skies.
And they were coming from as far up as she could see. They just literally.
She couldn't see, a guy there was a hot air balloon at that time dropping meat. No, it was clear skies. And just for context, it was March 3rd in 1876. So just give it a time of year and, on 1876. Clear skies.
What kind of meat?
Well, that's
hot dogs.
That's completely up for debate. So what happens? It started splatting down. It was a fleshy meat. Mm-hmm. Started splatting down, and she's like, I don't know. So she called some town folk, Olympia Springs. Everybody.
Question.
Yes.
I have so many questions.
Okay, go ahead.
Now.
I hope I can answer them all for you. I wasn't there.
When we're talking, are we talking like a slab, like? I'm imagining because I don't.
Talking about ribs, or are we talking about a little brisket?
Cut my own. I don't go in the backyard and kill a cow and skin it or deer. Okay,
Wait till the
so
Last of Us takes
are we talking
truth.
like? Is it nicely trimmed? Like I guess they didn't have. Well, I guess they had kind of grocery stores back
trimmed?
then. But you know what I mean, like a nice
Like stew
cut.
meat, like beef
or
chunks.
is it literally just
random
ripped,
slabs?
Ripped meat,
It looked ripped.
Oh, it's morbid.
It looked ripped.
Was it bloody?
They didn't say whether it was bloody or not. That wasn't.
Frozen.
That wasn't.
Look at me, frozen. That's funny.
You could stop and start up your camera again. But so they didn't really know what it was. So she called over some of the townsfolk and everybody around to check it out. People started, people's first thought it was a hoax, but she didn't have anybody around her who was collaborating with her or anything like that. The locals started to kind of poke around and look at the things, and they all observed that it would look like meat for sure. There was two brave people who decided to take after this took some time for her to summon people, right? It wasn't like text messages. Everybody was over 5 minutes.
How many pieces of meat would they say there was?
There was a lot. They didn't give it an actual number, but it looked like he was raining meat, right? It was, it covered it's what appeared to be chunks measuring approximately 2 by 2 inches. So those were the size of the chunks, with at least one being 4 by 4 inches. So decent size chunks of meat fell from the sky in a 100 by 50 yard area. 100 by 50 yard area. So to give you context, 100 yards from end zone to end zone in a football game, it's by 50. Like, we're talking about a football field worth of meat dropping.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And so people started wandering around. People were looking at it, like the local townspeople are trying to figure it out. 2 brave people took a bite of it to taste it, which
Raw? They didn't cook it?
raw. They're like, we need to taste what
It was
this
a
is.
different time back then.
And they said it tastes like, I think, lamb or deer is what they surmised.
Or human.
Well, there are theories that
No bones?
There's not merit.
No bones.
I always say there's
Wait, no
very
bones.
little no bones to be had. So this got picked up, and it actually got reported by the New York Times, and they posited one of the theories you had that is pretty much without merit. I think it's hilarious because they surmised that there was a knife fight in a nearby area, and basically the knife fight got so bad, not just bleeding out, they started ripping off chunks, and a tornado picked it up and dropped it onto Mrs. Crouch's field.
No, because there's no it's
bones.
not.
There's
If there's no bones, there's no evidence.
There's no bones.
Unless they preserved some of that meat and still
They
had
did.
it today.
There is some. So
Did they do a DNA test to see if it was human?
okay, so let's get to that in a second.
This is
So
really good.
so they're like, we don't know what it is, and the most I want to just like skip ahead a little bit and tell you the most likely scenario is disgusting as well. But so the New York Times posited that
Can
theory.
I just pause you and just
Sure.
tell you there's no likely scenario unless it's extraterrestrials.
Well, there is that theory
You're welcome.
that is floated around.
There's no other
Well, there is.
possibility
There
if
is.
it came from the sky. It
Okay.
didn't. The wind didn't blow it north.
Do you want to
You're
wait?
saying
Do you want to
it
wait till the
came
theories
down
before
like
you're like,
this.
there's no other possible theory? You're
Okay,
really
go. I'm angry.
shooting your gun early. Well, they think that the New York Times article was probably because like Kentucky was seen still to some extent in those days as backwards. So they're like, it must have been a good old timey redneck knife fight that went awry, and a tornado whipped up all the spare flesh and dropped it on Mrs. Crouch's lawn. But again, not much merit to that theory.
No.
It was examined quite a bit. There was different universities and stuff that took it, and by that time, you mentioned was their DNA test done. There wasn't too much that you could really do. It was made into jerky. People enjoyed it as jerky to try to get a feel for what it was.
Hard times, right? They needed to eat.
One scientist, very famous theory for a long time, was by a scientist who wrote in the Sanitarian, which apparently was a magazine called the Sanitarian. I don't know. Pick up your local Sanitarian. I don't know. His name was
sanitized.
Leopard Brandeis, and he identified the substance as nostoc. And what is nostoc? It's like a weird bacteria. Apparently, that just is like floating around in some areas, including Kentucky. It is undiscernible during normal times, but once it rains, it bubbles up into this gelatinous, weird, fleshy stuff, and it's bacteria. And you could eat it, and it tastes like chicken or frogs. Apparently, is the way.
Is it like toxic though?
It's not toxic, but
But
there was theories that it was nostoc, right? Because it looked like a weird gelatinous thing. It was funky. You can't really explain how it, and it only results from rain.
break it down for me.
What?
What the fuck is that? Is that like an acid rain type thing?
No, it's bacteria that lives on the ground, right? And until it is
But
just
she heard the flopping and she saw it falling from the sky.
well, that theory has a lot of fucking holes in it because nostoc also does not come from this, as you kind of pointed out. It does not come from the sky. It's a result of rain. Rain falls. It
and
soups
she
up.
literally saw these chunks fall.
She saw chunks falling.
so we kept it.
She saw meat.
I was about to be like, wow, it wasn't aliens, but it still doesn't add up.
The most famous, well, the most likely theory at this point. So apparently, this is disgusting, but vultures, they gorge themselves, right? They have a real fucking buffet at the table, and they go and they eat and they eat. Because I would imagine, I'm not fucking a scientist, I'm not a zoologist, but I would imagine they go stretches without eating. So they're like, we're just gonna fucking fill the fuck up, and so they fill up on meat. And when they're flying over, and they can fly very, very high, like above cloud level, so that if you and I were looking up in the sky and vultures were flying up, some vultures could fly high enough where we wouldn't notice they were circling above us. And apparently,
do they fly in packs?
They do fly in packs.
How big is the pack?
The pack, I don't know how big the packs are, but they do fly in packs. And one of the theories is that when they have too much and they realize, like, oh God, there's too much fucking cargo on this plate, they just start throwing up. And as we would too, once one bird starts throwing up, they're all like, whoa, oh God, Frank's throwing up again. So they threw up, and they think that because they were so high up, there were so many birds, and the wind, it was high enough for the wind to kind of like sparse them out amongst the whole field from Mrs. Crouch's field, that the meat chunks were just like throw up meat chunks were just flying all from
that checks out. That checks out only if, what was the like square footage between each meat chunk? Was it like would you say the football field was like completely covered? Or was it sporadic? Do we have sporadic chunks? Because if it was sporadic, then maybe. But if we're talking like heavy duty raining chunks of meat,
it's also one of my favorite bands, Heavy Duty Chunks. No, I think it was pretty consistent, but at the same time, like if there was a bunch of vultures, I think that is the most likely theory. It still like has some. It still has some mystery to it because, like,
where the fuck were those vultures? Where did they find all that meat?
I don't know. There's theories that it could have been animals, babies, squirrels, beyond meat. I don't know.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no, but they say that it's a 1 in 100 million, more maybe more than that chance. So I mean, it's still a long shot, but maybe Miss Crouch has won the beef lottery.
So wait, the 1 in 1 million.
1 in 100 million chance, but that means that there's a chance, and especially if this is the only.
That's the most logical thing.
It has to be. There is now what you said. There are some people who believe that it was aliens, or something.
You hear those stories where like aliens will go to like Kentucky places where like it's more secluded.
Sure.
And randomly there'll be like cows that they find dead.
Yeah, there's like cow mutilation, animal mutilation.
Yeah, and the way that they mutilate, it's like something that they take out of their mouth, like just like a part of them, and other parts of their bodies. There's like these tiny holes. But maybe they just abducted a bunch of cows and they're like, okay, we took what we need. Let's throw them back.
So it was like kind of like, you know how they say that on cruise ships, like they dump a bunch of the waste shit and sharks follow. Like it's the same fucking thing. Like there was like
a UFO.
A UFO just like getting rid of their trash.
Well, it's kind of like the movie that we saw. What was that movie that we just watched with the Keel? Is Keel? What's his name?
Oh, Nope.
Nope. Yeah.
Yeah. Jordan Peele. Yeah.
So I feel like it was kind of like that. Like the thing, it sucks everybody up. And then when it was done, it's just like, whoosh, and it was like knives coming down, just everything that it sucked up, like just coming down. So, and that was on a farm, and it was all over like the acre of land. So, yes, that still is a very good theory.
It is a possibility. I mean, the vultures, I think, is a very likely because it's it's Kentucky. There's plenty of vultures and all that shit. But it could be the result of it could be space trash. Mrs. Crouch was they do, and what you were saying.
It was so great. Sorry.
Go ahead.
If like Mrs. Crouch.
Yes, her name was not Mrs. Crouch. Mrs. Crouch in the Kentucky meat shower is a video. Don't Google that.
So Mrs. Crouch, like I feel like it would have been so great if she was like praying for meat.
She's like, please give me a steak. It just
started raining. Like she's like, please God provide for us, and she got all the meat she wanted.
And there are some like some like specimen that is still out there. And one guy who was fascinated with it, he actually made it, and he took it, and he had a research lab kind of tested and stuff like that to get the flavor, and he recreated it in a jelly bean form. He didn't obviously take the actual meat specimen and put it in a jelly bean, but he took the flavor and put it in a jelly. Somehow he got scientists. It was 2007, so that's why it's so. And they did, by the way, they did try to do a DNA test on it, but it was the specimen was too old to really do anything. Apparently,
That would have
I read.
been huge. There
Well, it
has
would
to
have
be
been
a way. Because if
Yeah,
they
I feel
found out
like-
that it was human,
Can't they map like Neanderthal DNA? What's the deal here?
that's what
What's
I'm
the deal?
saying.
I thought they
I'm
are
telling
almost.
you, there's some shit.
What do you
There's
think is a
some shit.
conspiracy? Miss Crouch was
Maybe.
in with the government.
Why wouldn't they have been able to figure it out?
At that time, I know why, because they didn't have the fucking technology. Like meat fell from the sky. Who knows? She apparently, you know what her theory was? She thought it was God sending her a message, so maybe she was praying for
To
meat.
eat more meat?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Well, especially back then, they were so everything was so superstitious.
It's superstitious and meat centric too. So I'm sure she wasn't like, I need to stop eating meat because meat is raining from the sky. She's probably like, I need to eat more meat.
That's an awesome story.
That is the Kentucky meat shower of 1876. So if you can find the jelly beans, please try them. You can figure out what it tastes like. It had to be disgusting, right?
No, like I don't want
fucking- who
to. I don't want to because just I feel like if I taste it,
I would never
it'll
forget
be,
that taste.
Yeah, it'll
It's
be in my mind forever.
It's ingrained in your brain.
Yeah. So no.
Ugh, that's disgusting. Anyways, that's what entrapped me this year. Did you hear about? I want to ask you a question too, because I found this endless. This is different. This is off on a different tangent. So apparently, the police arrested a 20-year-old woman because she used false documentation to enroll in a New Jersey high school as a student, and she attended some classes over
29?
29 years old.
Does she look really young?
Does it show a picture of her? That is a fucking amazing question.
Is that her there?
Yeah, that would just. That's how that picture right there will get you kicked out of the church.
Oh Lord.
No, I don't think they showed a picture of her.
There has to be.
Let me research it. But let me tell you the story. This is
Yeah.
from AP News before I hunt down the picture. A 29-year-old woman used false documents to enroll as a New Jersey high school student and attend some classes over a 4-day period before her scheme was discovered last week, authorities said. It's not yet known what the woman's intentions were, officials said. She reportedly got the phone numbers of students who helped her find her way through New Brunswick High School and continued to text some of them days after her ruse was discovered. The woman has been barred from entering school grounds, and you think so? In the district, and officials advised students not to have any contact with her. The woman provided district officials with a false birth certificate, officials said. Schools in the state are required to immediately enroll unaccompanied children, even in the absence of records normally required for that purpose. So anyways.
So I was thinking maybe she had a kid that was going there, but it doesn't sound like it.
No, to spy on her kid.
Yeah. Or somebody was bullying her kid or something. You thought maybe.
I have a question for you based on that though.
They do it in the movies.
If you
Could get away with it.
If you could go back to high school and go let's take the case where you can go in a time machine, right? And you can actually go back to the high school age, right? It's really creepy to go as a 29-year-old or even above high school age to go into high school posing. Let's say you had the opportunity to go back to high school with the age of a high school student, but your current mindset, your current adult brain. Would you go back to high school?
No.
I feel like teenagers would freak me the fuck out. I would be like wigged out the whole time. Like I'd be like
our generation or the ones now?
Not our generation.
Oh no. I'm like, no offense to our younger listeners.
Wow.
But oh no.
Y'all fuckers.
Because I would probably be in prison.
Wait, why?
Because back in our day, back in my day, you fuck with somebody, you get socked.
Oh, here she is. You want to see her? That's crazy.
She looks super young.
She looks like she could almost pass off for a high school student.
She looks so young.
She's got a real baby face.
But yeah, no, I was raised in Chino, we'll
post it on.
the
We'll
90s,
post her picture online.
And the 90s were, it was all about like gangs and stuff like that. So like there was a wall that
You don't think
you
there's
weren't allowed to
still
walk by, or else you get you weren't even allowed to like lean against the back of the wall because you get your ass kicked. It was for gang members only.
Yeah.
So it's like you had to be fucking tough. There was none of this, I have anxiety. Oh,
Wow.
you know, it was like you fucking slip up, you talk shit, you fucking handle it out. And that's just how we did it. And honestly, I wouldn't change it.
Yeah, I could see that. And also too, I couldn't live high school under social media. Like everybody
Yeah.
knowing what you're fucking doing, everything is there for eternum. Like,
Because even like when we were like juniors, sophomore, junior, whatever, we had AOL Messenger, and
wow.
like only
Nice.
I know only like my like close friends like knew my screen name and stuff like that. And there was chat rooms that you could go in knowing that there was like a Chino High chat room, so I can go in and know that there's going to be other people from Chino. But it just was different. It wasn't, we didn't like we did it more to fuck with people. We would just like, especially like geeks and stuff like that, we would like hit on them, or you know, there was like a 40-year-old perv, which we always knew because the way that he talked, like,
Oh, yeah.
you know, it was like his lingo would be like, yeah, that's bitchin', and we were like, bitchin'? Who uses the word bitchin'? John
Could you imagine
Guthrie.
us trying to fucking like catch up with like the lingo of teenagers now?
I think
we
that
would
would be
be-
pretty good.
You think you'd be good?
Cringe.
You sure they're still using that
That's
now?
so cringe.
You sure they're still using that? You sure? Yeah. You're coming with cringe, but like we were saying that 4 years ago.
Yeah, but no. But yeah,
You'd be
so I mean, I feel like like I it was just so different.
Would you go back in time and go back to high school when you went to high school? Those there. I don't think I would do that either.
No.
Because it was fucking miserable.
hated it
High school
then.
was fucking terrible.
I hated it then, you know, but I dealt with it, and you know, I didn't let people bully me. So
I think that like high school was just such a time
like
to
I said,
fucking,
I didn't let people bully me. I didn't have to like go to my mom. I didn't have to go to the principal. It didn't have to be
why are you trying to act like a tough girl
this
right
whole
now?
thing, because it's just like everything's.
Oh my God.
I'm so bullied.
I went to my mommy all the time.
They're bullying me,
Mommy,
and
help
it's
me.
like, you know what?
I never got really bullied in high school. And I wasn't like a cool guy. I think people probably made fun of me behind my back, but I think I was such like I'm generally like my fucking my fucking vibe is chill. So I think
Yeah.
that people are like, why?
Well, I didn't allow people to bully me, but I didn't look
I
like
didn't get
everybody else.
fucking
I
bullied.
always
Why didn't I get bullied? I want to get bullied.
Did you blend in? Were you
I blended it pretty well.
See, no, I was always
Can't see me.
fucking
It's like John Cena.
outcast. I was always, you could see me from a mile away, from my hair color in high school,
Because you were so cool.
from the way that I dressed. I was always different, never trying to, and people would see, like, they would see the way I would dress and be like, what are you? And I would just be like, your mom. And then they would look at me like, I can't believe you just said that. Yeah,
That's
leave me the
pretty
fuck alone.
clever. Hold on, let me write that down. What are you?
Your
Did you
mom.
say your
mom.
Your mom. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
You're really.
But
you're fast
yeah,
on
like
the track.
I just was like,
Was that your response to everything? Your mom.
I mean, that was kind of in the 90s.
Yeah, like
you know?
your-
That's
your
how
mom.
we talked, you know? It's
Your
like
mom.
everything was cringe nowadays.
Everything was yo
It was
mama.
like your mom.
Yo mama. Yo mama. Yeah.
So yeah, it's just different. Like, and I just felt like I grew up. I knew that, and still today, like I know that, like choosing to have tattoos and choosing to have piercings and choosing to have different hair color and choosing to look different, you are putting yourself out there for more people, and you have to have really thick skin. And I just learned to deal with that in high school. To like this day, I remember the first time I went to Disneyland with our sister-in-law. She's like, everybody stares at you. And I was like, really? I was like, I don't see it. Because if I see it,
I don't
I'm
really
going to
see
say
it.
something. Like, and I'm so used to it that I just kind of like, just let it,
I don't
let it
notice
face
that.
me anymore.
I don't notice that either. Maybe I'm just been around you a long time. I don't see people staring.
Yeah, I know. When you told me that, I was like, really? Like,
That's the first time. I don't know. Hey, can I come with you to can I bring you a Foolish Mortal segment?
sure, of course.
This is also from AP News. A man was in England, so it goes, was crushed by a pop-up urinal. He was crushed to death in the theater district in London up by a up urinal. So the man died by urinal. Death by urinal.
Why do I think that you'd be happy about that if you died like that?
No, because that's
You'd be full of shit, literally.
yeah, I'm full of piss actually.
So wait, he got crushed. So he drowned it in shit.
Well, he just got the urinal. Like there's like I think there's the pop up ones in London where they like go like they're like little like metallic tubes and they go up and down, right? Or whatever. I think they get sanitized.
It's fucking scary.
He got crushed, and they tried to get him out.
I wouldn't even go in there. I go shit behind that tree right there.
That's in the public place. You'd probably get arrested.
I don't care.
I don't give a shit.
Literally.
You would? Could you imagine telling the police that you were shitting in public because you thought the urinal was going to crush you? They'd arrest you.
But they crushed that guy.
Remember that one guy?
What about Scuba Steve? It crushed him.
Scuba Steve. Scuba mask couldn't save him.
Scuba poop.
That's a fucking terrible way to die. That's a truly awful way to die. Hey, you told me you had a story. Didn't you have a story?
Oh yeah. So Egypt archaeologists discovered a gold-covered mummy amongst latest discoveries, which I think is so cool because I know that like when you going back even before Egyptians, the Anunnaki would come to Earth looking for gold and searching for gold, and gold has been such a big thing. So I thought for sure that this mummy would have been like some kind of like god or something, right?
Yeah, someone at least higher up for sure.
So archaeologists say they found a gold leaf covered mummy sealed inside a sarcophagus that had not been opened for 4,300 years.
Oh, could you imagine how much that stunk?
Oh,
actually, probably not that much because it's sealed
I
in
would
gold.
have loved it. I would have loved the stench. The mummy, the remains of a man named, do I even attempt it? Hekashephes, is thought to be one of the oldest and most complete non-royal corpses ever found in Egypt. So that's so crazy. Like, why was his sarcophagus gold?
I don't know. Was he rich? Was he rich fool?
Discovered down a 50-foot shaft at a burial site
Kentucky meat shower.
south of Cairo, where 3 other tombs were found. One tomb belonged to a secret keeper. What the fuck does that mean?
Oh, secret keeper. That's like fun.
The largest of mummies that were unearthed at the ancient necropolis is said to belong to a man called Knum Jedef, a priest inspector. You try. I want you to try.
I'm not going to.
Okay, you're going to try.
It's
you're gonna try.
easier
Look at it. What is it? Try it.
Numjadef? I don't know. Sorry. We're both apologizing now at this point.
Jamal, what was that stuff called that you like to eat? Galak. Anyways,
What?
A priest inspector.
What?
The Indian balls you like to eat.
Excuse me.
What are they called?
Hey, no personal stuff here.
They're like the donuts. They're like the wet honey donuts.
Which wet balls do I like to eat?
Dipped in honey.
Well, I mean,
Galak.
they shower properly.
You know
fine.
how
They
to
don't
say
need
it?
to do
Galak Jamal.
I'm not. I don't even remember.
Yes, you do.
I know what you're talking about, but I don't remember the name.
He's part Indian, by the way.
Yeah, but I don't
everybody.
remember the name.
How you're offensive to your culture.
I am offensive to everything.
You know.
I'm offensive to all
Baba
my cultures.
Ganoush? No, it's
No.
It's,
Let's move on.
It's such a cool
Why
word.
are you so
to say.
fixated
Can
on
you
it?
look it up, please?
Oh God.
Everybody's wanting to know what this
Everybody's
fucking
on
word
bated
is.
breath to see how we can
They
butcher
want to
another.
know what this word is. Anyways, so there's 3 other tombs found down.
What's that?
Huh?
Gulab Jamun.
See, that was there.
Okay, you're good.
I said
I'm
Jamal.
glad we
instead of
railrolled it
Jaman.
for that.
You said it's so pretty.
Jumanji. Go ahead.
One tomb belonged to a secret keeper. The largest of the mummies
sweet.
that were unearthed at the ancient necropolis is said to belong to a man called, which we already said, Numjadef. Numchuck Jadef.
Stop. Be careful.
A priest, inspector, and supervisor of nobles.
Okay.
Another
he's a
belonged to a
supervisor?
man called Murray. Okay, Meri. Mere.
Was it?
I want to call him Murray.
Meri?
Yeah.
Mary? I would say Mary.
It's a man.
Mary? Miri or Mary Murray?
Mere.
I don't know. We don't know. We're butchering
Man
every
called
single
Mere,
one.
who was a senior palace official given the title of secret keeper, which allowed him to perform special religious rituals.
What?
A ridge and writer, you just itched your dick. A judge and writer named Fatek is thought to have
What
been
about the Indian balls?
laid to rest
Yummy.
in the other tomb, where a collection of what are thought to be the largest statues ever found in the area had been discovered. Several of these items, including pottery, have also been found amongst the tombs. Here's where it gets really exciting. Let me
They're
skip
aliens.
this.
Sorry to put this at the end of the article. By the way, they're aliens.
No.
No.
Archaeologist, I can't say his name,
They got
Egyptian
out of there.
former
They
chief
left
minister,
buddy there.
has said all the discoveries date from around the 25th century to the 2nd century BC. The discovery is so important as it connects the kings with the people living around them, said Ali Adu Devish, another archaeologist involved in the excavation. Saqqara was an active burial ground for more than 3,000 years and is designated UNESCO World Heritage Site. It sits at what was ancient ancient Egypt.
Can I ask
Egyptian
Can now I
capital
ask
Memphis.
you a question?
Sure.
Which one was the gold? Was it the secret keeper who was dipped in gold? Who was dipped in gold?
We're getting there.
Okay, I just want to find the gold dip. You're going into a lot of details. Just give me the gold dip.
Including the step pyramid
Gold dust.
near where the shaft containing the mummy was found.
I heard that.
Thursday's discovery comes just a day after experts in southern Egypt city of Luxor said they had discovered
In Las
a
Vegas?
complete
So, wow.
residential city.
Very exciting.
This is so exciting to me. Shut the fuck up. I'm gonna have to repeat it now.
No, please don't.
Thursday's discovery,
Please.
shut up, comes just a day after experts in the southern Egyptian city of Luxor said they had discovered a complete residential city from the Roman era, dating back to the 2nd and 3rd century AD.
Yeah.
Archaeologists found residential buildings, towers, and what they called metal workshops containing pots, tools, and Roman coins. So fucking cool.
Yeah, they sealed up.
Wow.
Anthony and his crew came up and they're like,
Egypt
this is
has
ours now.
unveiled many major archaeological discoveries in recent years as part of efforts to revive its tourism
you don't
industry.
get to the
See
gold
that
dip.
that pisses me off because
What pisses you off?
like we have been waiting. I mean, in my lifetime, I have been waiting for them to really find an exceptional discovery. Like at this point, just find fucking
Ramses?
Akhenaten. I mean, they found his tomb, but they haven't found his body.
Because everybody stole their shit. Like grave robbers were like,
I want Cleopatra. They said they
You're not gonna
thought
find
that
them.
they found Cleopatra. Just and now now they're saying that there's like a little Rome that settled there. Okay, can like Pontius Pilate be there? Like, because this is all after death. So this is all like after Jesus died. So
Pontius Pilate would be buried traditionally Egypt, right? Because
but there was a settlement there. So what if I don't know? What maybe he
Dan
had
Brown
more
stuff.
more
Maybe
time.
Tom Hanks is going to find his.
I don't know. But
The problem with that is that the reason why this stuff is hard to find is because like the only reason why we found King Tut, because King Tut, like we all think about King Tut because we found his thing, but he wasn't really that important in the grand scheme of Egyptian pharaohs. It's because
his father
collapse-
was so important.
his father was important, but he wasn't important. I mean, he was important because he was a pharaoh.
But
But
it's
in the
that-
grand
it's-
scheme of things,
it's
he's not
the
like the greatest.
bloodline.
He's not in the top 5 of Egyptian pharaohs, right? Now he is because we found his shit. But at the time, he wasn't. He didn't reign that long. He was very young when he died. But the reason why he's so famous is because we found an intact tomb, and the reason why we found an intact tomb because it wasn't allowed to be grave robbed because of the collapse, and so it was kind of a spur of luck thing. So finding Ramses, finding Akhenaten, it's gonna be a fucking crapshoot because those bodies are probably stolen. They're probably
Plus, the Egyptian people were so mad at what Akhenaten had done to their culture and their religion that, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they ripped his tomb.
There was
to
a lot
bits,
of, we're going to do an episode in the near future. So tune in, I don't know, maybe like 2 or 3 weeks from now about interesting ways, any interesting places and things that happen to famous bodies after death. And we'll get into Akhenaten a little bit and some others. But yeah, there's plenty of like leaders who fucking have gruesome things done to their body because they're out of vogue or they're like pissed off a bunch of people. So that's not that surprising.
Oh my God, you're going to be so upset. It
What?
doesn't say.
Who the gold dip man
It
was?
doesn't say.
Who was gold dipped?
So, but
Oh God.
but on gold dip, on that note, did you hear about the 17th century aristocrat had a crafty secret for keeping her teeth?
No.
So this woman in the 17th century, I guess, like to keep like her status quo, you have to have a nice smile, you have to look the part, being aristocratic.
Sure.
And when they discovered her sarcophagus, her teeth were fully intact. And they were just like, how did this happen? And she had them like wrapped with a little tiny gold wire to keep them like pristine.
In
you could
death
see right
or in life?
in life, but then they're still preserved.
So they
in
found
death.
them. Wow. So that she basically was like gold.
So she had
braces,
she had a disease that like makes your teeth like fall out and wiggle. Like people have it today. Like I've seen like people like on TikTok, they talk about like
wiggly teeth.
Their teeth just fall out and stuff like that. But so she didn't want anybody to know that she was suffering from periodontal disease. And so she figured this way, but it's funny because when I was reading for her life to have these wires like connecting her teeth, it was probably very uncomfortable, and over time they probably had to constantly keep redoing them. So but yeah, she maintained to keep her teeth intact, and the picture is really cool. Actually, we should post it on our social media.
Oh yeah.
So you could kind of see the wire going through it, but
That's crazy.
she had a this tooth you could see right here. That one's not real. She had a
Implant?
yeah, basically like
When was this from? Like
This
when did she live?
aristocratic 17th century.
Okay.
Yeah. And this is 400 years after her death, and in her she was using gold wire to keep her teeth from falling out.
That's fucking insane.
That's amazing. So they said her body, she died in 1619.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Hey, did you know that I saw somewhere, I read an article that apparently their theory, because you know how we send, and this might be off that subject, sorry, but this popped in my head. You know how we send out radio signals and we're waiting for shit back, right? Mm-hmm. They're thinking that AI, although it will be the death of us, it might actually help us discover lost radio signals that we didn't pick up. So AI might be able to comb through and pick up radio signals that we might have missed or we might be currently missing from the billions of stars or whatever where planets can have habitable life in some way, that we might be missing that. And AI might help us. Chat GPT might not just help us like pass medical exams. Did you see that? Mm-mm. So this is AI chat app that helps you, like, you could type in anything and it'll formulate there's all kinds of scandal about cheating and stuff because it can help, it could help you draft a paper for school or whatever.
Oh, wow.
Well, they're saying that Chat GPT apparently passed the medical exam and the state bar.
Oh my God.
An attorney at state bar, and so people are freaking out. But anyway, so the AI, they're thinking that maybe the AI can actually start picking up this shit, like picking up these radio signals that we lost. I wonder and that makes me wonder, do you think as we are trying to communicate outward, do you think there are aliens trying to communicate outward and there's sending signals our way that we're somehow missing, or do you think that's kind of a unique?
They're already here, baby.
Okay.
They already made contact.
Got it. Via pyramid.
Via mind control.
What? Do you think aliens are mind controlling us?
I mean, they could.
They could, I guess. I don't know. Anything's
Did you
possible.
hear this like big thing about us wanting to go back to the moon all of a sudden?
I heard something about that. I heard
Yeah.
that like because there was some show I was watching about they were joking about like faking the moon landing, like that it was faked or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't think they were earnest.
I'm open-minded to that idea, by the way.
Of course you are. I just don't think it'd be worth it. I think they would.
And another big theory coming back is that the Earth is flat. Have you been hearing that?
Oh God.
Yeah.
Why?
There's a big theory.
That is
of
one of the
people
things
saying
that
like the Earth's flat again, and it's hard for me to wrap my head around.
Round. We did it.
But you know what I mean? So
That's one of the things I can't like. I'm open to like anything's possible. Like whatever, believe what you want to believe. But the flat Earth thing, I'm like, I don't know, guys. I don't know.
I don't know. It's wild.
Don't
but
tell
I'm
me
wondering,
you're starting to buy into the flat Earth
I'm
thing.
wondering. I don't know.
What?
I'm talking about the moon.
Okay.
But I'm wondering, not to
Now
get
I'm
controversial,
endless
but like, did you hear that there's like theories of China wanting to, because I guess for whatever where they're located, they're closer to the moon, so they're trying to like.
How are they closer to the moon?
They're trying to like kind of like how we took over America, like we like this is
We
our
colonized
land.
America.
So they want to like colonize the moon and make it part of China.
Oh, everybody, if they could practically colonize the moon.
Yeah, for sure.
Every single country.
Me, not personally, but
Like every single country, if they could do it reasonably and practically, they would
that's a
colonize
Death
it.
Star, by the way.
Of course it is. But everybody's going to want to eventually colonize them. Even it's like, and it's like one of those things like it's free real estate. So even if they can't end up doing anything, they're going to want it just in case we can, somehow terraform the moon or something like that. They want it. The people are going to want the moon. Or if we go further and further out and we somehow end up in Mars one day and we terraform, they were going to want it as like a middle point, like almost like like a layover from Mars.
Makes
like
sense.
A small little layover. So of course, like
God, we would destroy the moon too. I'm just thinking of how we're destroying Earth, and fucking moon's already, isn't it like fucking hollow space? Like,
well, that's funny that you mentioned it because I actually found another article about that kind of stuff because it says this is from Independent,
Independence Day.
Independence Day over in England. But they're saying they had an article that scientists are warning that space junk might stop us from finding aliens. Because there's so much we're putting so much trash into space essentially, and I'll read from the night sky will be crawling with satellites by the end of the decade, blocking out stars and leaving astronomers. Wow. I don't know why I focus on the ass on astronomers unable to make observations or detect alien life. Experts have warned. More than 8,000 satellites are orbiting the Earth. That's a lot of satellites. A fourfold increase from 2019. Which, with numbers expected to increase dramatically. Some 400,000 satellites have been approved globally for low Earth orbit, with SpaceX alone set to launch 44,000 for its Starlink internet constellation. So we're planning to have 400,000 satellites. Can you imagine, like, just like looking in a telescope and not being able to see the stars because there's too much space shit in the sky? Like traffic jams in the sky for satellites.
How soon do they think they could see that happening?
So right now we have 8,000. There's already, so what they're saying is there's 400,000 satellites that have been approved globally. So whatever respective government entity has said, yes, let's go ahead and we sign off on you shooting this satellite into space. So there's projected to be 400,000 in this near future. Astronomers are struggling to deal with bright streaks of light created by satellites drifting in front of the optical field of telescopes. So again, telescopes are being blocked by a bunch of space junk. Internet satellites can also interfere with sensitive radio telescopes. Tony Tyson, that's a fun fucking name. Good job, Tony. Professor of physics and astronomy at the University of California said, if you just went out in a dark place somewhere and looked at the sky in 2030, it would be a very macabre scene. The sky will be crawling with moving satellites, and the number of stars that you would see are minimum. Even in the very dark sky, it's a major issue. So we always think we live in California where there's no fucking sun. And you're like, if you just go out to fucking Utah or wherever, Nevada, you could see the stars. Like that's not going to be a thing anymore because you're just gonna see satellites.
Oh no!
But your cell phone service is going to be great, so that's going to be good. You're going to have high-speed internet, so that'll be great,
Oh my
right?
God. Meanwhile, the fucking 5G radiation is gonna.
There you
kill
go.
us all.
There's another one. You're hitting off all the greatest hits of theories. It's conspiracy theories. Someone's been on
Come on.
Facebook.
You can't say that. You can't say that. I
What?
mean, there's even fucking radiation in my UV light that I fucking do
There's
my nails
radiation
with.
everywhere.
So it's like, I don't know.
We're all going to die, brother.
I wonder.
do you
Don't
wonder?
take my ideas, everybody.
Okay.
What if we wore no glove, no love? Some type of just like, it doesn't like where our fingers stick out like Michael Jackson. Something when we are holding our phones, at least like the majority of the hand that is holding it. What if you had a glove? And it'd be like a stylish thing. You could do it in one hand like Michael, you know? Just like,
Aren't cell phones pretty minimal in terms of the... Aren't they pretty minimal?
for what,
I don't know.
radiation?
Yeah. Isn't it negligible?
Don't they even say not to hold the phone up to your ear?
I don't do that anyways because
cancer?
I'm not living in the fucking 2000s. You know what I'm saying?
You, oh my God, side note, this motherfucker.
This
Rat,
motherfucker.
he always has, whenever I call,
Uh-huh.
when I'm at work, he always puts it on speakerphone.
Yep.
And I'll be saying, fuck this, fuck that, talking
Fuck
about
you, fuck
twat, this, and my daughter's sitting next to him. And I'm just
Talking
like,
about Kentucky meat showers.
take me off speakerphone.
I don't live in a world where like
Like it's different.
I'm
when
either
I
on
call
earbuds
you,
or I'm on a
yeah. But
on
when I
speaker.
call you at work, I'm always like ear because I usually my hands are busy. So I'm like, you're on speakerphone. Just
Do you want me to just broadcast
not that
that
you
every
ever.
time?
Well, just not like you would ever say anything like offensive, but just like
Yeah.
I don't
And
know.
when I'm in public, I'm not yet at the age where I'm talking on a speakerphone in public. By the way, everybody, it's always at home. But
yeah.
I just like I don't want to have it up against my ear because it's just
Because you're
look who
worried
does
about
this.
radiation.
I'm worried about the radiation. We'll leave it. We'll go with that. Why not?
I knew it.
This has been an episode of ExtraNormal Podcast. You can make sure if you're watching, or you're watching on YouTube, you're listening on your favorite podcast machine, make sure you like, subscribe, give us good stars if you like it. If you don't, we appreciate you listening, but please don't hurt our feelings. The notifications on YouTube, if you figure out when we're doing this live, because we do it live. For what it's worth, you can email us at extranormalpodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on all the social medias at ExtraNormal Podcast. And thank you so much for listening.